Hi, Kitty. Be open. Yeah, Joe's coming back with the agenda. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Sunny.
Hello,
Hi, Jack.
hi there.
So I'm gonna mute this. Do I just press?
Yeah.
Do I press that or this?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Do we have a quorum, Janine? Looks like
What?
Jack.
Down
No.
at your office too.
You what?
Yeah.
Down in your county office.
Yep.
Wow.
Nice. Great
Are we
to be
ready?
back here.
We ready to have meetings yet? Not ready.
Yeah.
Exactly. We are streaming live on YouTube now.
Just tell me when.
Yeah,
I think we should be good.
Yes, you do have a quorum, Sunny, so you can start whenever.
Okay. Yeah, thank you to my colleague, Councilwoman Brown, for willing to chair the meeting, but my hearing got done right in the nick of time. So we're here today at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, April 7th for our Education, Environment, and Sustainability Committee meeting. It's off on an off Wednesday because we wanted an opportunity to hear the College Now folks about its status and what we're doing going forward. So can we have a roll call, please?
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon,
Here.
Ms. Brown,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
here,
Mr. Schron,
here.
Ms. Stevens. Ms. Stevens is absent at the moment. There is a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilman Miller is in attendance.
Thank you. So do we have any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one submitted any public comment.
And we do have some minutes from St. Patrick's Day, and we had a pretty short meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion, Brown.
Second,
Schron, second Schron, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved from March 17th, 2021, and we have one matter referred to committee today. Can we have that read for the record, please?
Resolution number 2021-0076, making an award to College Now Greater Cleveland in the amount of $500,000 from the Cuyahoga County Educational Assistance Fund for component 2 of the Cuyahoga County Educational Assistance Program.
Thank you so much. As council committee knows and Councilman Miller know that we have a two-part educational assistance program that was enacted pursuant to the charter, which gave council the authority and really a mandate to pursue educational initiatives. And this is component 2, and it's been historically a great success. And we're going to hear today from College Now. I think who's going to start, Bob or Kitty?
If you'd like, I could just give the quick overview and then Bob can dive into the details. First, let me just say it's great to see all of you. Thank you for having us. And as always, thank you for your tremendous support. It's hard to believe, but the current 2021 school year is actually the 8th cohort of this program. And it's just, I feel like we've been raising children together. So many of you around the table have been with us since the beginning. The report that we provided and that you probably now have, or if not, you will have shortly, shows you statistics through cohort 7, because as you know, we always are a year behind. We're actually still in the middle of the 2021 school year. The statistics that we have provided to you are through the 2019-20 school year, and we're actually seeking support from you today for what would be the start of cohort 9. This coming fall, to kids who are currently high school seniors who are in the process, hopefully, of being able to apply for this scholarship. I just want to give you one overarching high number, which we think is so impressive. At the end of last year, the 1920 school year, 528 students. So these are all eligible county residents. They went to a county high school. They've met the academic and financial criteria, have been awarded scholarships, and through last spring, 74% of those students were either still enrolled or had graduated. And bear in mind, when we say still enrolled, that includes kids that were just finishing their freshman year. And then as you see throughout the report, and again, I think Bob would be great if you don't mind Bob walking through, you can see that the first 2 cohorts who have officially finished, as it's on-time graduation is determined by the U.S. Department of Education. And there are five active cohorts. And then we're hoping to, the sixth is in play. So Bob, I'll let you take it.
Oh, thanks, Kitty. I did want to echo what Kitty said. Impressive, 528 students so far, 74% number. I think what's really exciting is we're just short of 200 graduates at this point. 196, I think, is where we're at. Students that have received this scholarship have graduated. So that's, I would have liked to have been able to say 200, but I just missed it. I think some other things we're looking at here is comparison-wise. Retention and graduation rates are not great in this country. I think we've talked about this every year. Right around 50% of all students, regardless of income background, graduate from college. If you're looking at high need students, which all of these students do meet the Pell eligible criteria, so they are do have a high level of financial need, that drops down to 40%. And to say right now that we had the first two full cohorts to be at 60 and 57 to beat that one is really good. The one I'm really excited about, cohort 3, I just have to point out in case you had a chance, 88% of those students are either enrolled or graduated. We already have 79% of those students have graduated within a 5-year rate. So they still have another year to do. So that's a really exciting number. This year, I think, like many things, has been really impacted by the COVID pandemic, especially with students. We're seeing a lot of the students that are being hit hard are students from low income backgrounds. A lot of their families have really struggled financially. The reports out there, students with college degrees, or people with college degrees have fared much better in this climate than students without them. And the majority of our student recipients are first generation college students as well. So it's been a real challenge for them. So, to continue the program, I think would be very helpful to these students. We're also seeing a challenge, though, with students that are coming back to school. We've seen as high as 20 to 30% drops in reports of retention at schools, depending on what reports you look at. So the cohort now, the freshman cohort that we're reporting on, it's sophomores this year, 94% of those students returned to college this year, which I think is a huge number. That actually it might be one of our best numbers ever. So I do think it talks the impact of not only the scholarship services, but as you all know, this also does come with a mentor as well through the College Now program. And I do not know if the mentoring program has ever been more needed than it is this year. So just so you guys have an understanding of what happened when COVID hit, when the schools sent everybody home, our colleges, we had to respond to help students through the process. So we helped students identify ways to get technology. We were amazed by the number of students who didn't have their own computer. They were using, the campus computer lab and things like that. So we partnered with lots of area organizations and things like that to make sure that every student in our program that needed technology were able to get it, whether it be the college provided them something, local partners, things like that. So that was really important. Secondly, we revised our curriculum, or we created a new curriculum to go on top of what we already had for the mentoring program to basically just help students navigate online learning. For a lot of them, this was new, and it was a real challenge. And then we're also been really this year had to help students much more than we ever have for just basic needs. Students, families losing jobs, food insecurity, things like that. So our mentoring program, mental health challenges, there's a lot of struggles this year. So our mentoring program has really been a great resource for these students that have had issues. And, we learned a lot of things as well that we feel that we can help students going forward, things we'd never thought of, especially as it pertains to housing, how risky a lot of our students are at being homeless. Because parents are living paycheck to paycheck and not knowing how to access the proper supports. Because there were supports put out there, but a lot of students and their parents did not know how to access much of those supports. So, I mean, I think it's been a challenging year, but I think it's been a really good year. The high school senior class, we know is going to be a struggle for them. They're just back in the schools now recently, many of them. So we are seeing students that are behind in the process of going to college. So College Now's advising team are trying to come up with a lot of creative ways to get students back on track to be able to go to college, whether filling out the FAFSA, doing their applications for college, applying for scholarships and things like that. So College Now has had to be a little bit flexible with some of our deadlines on scholarships and things like that. So we did have actually extended some of extended our deadline for the application to make sure students have a chance to apply for the scholarship. Anything else you'd like me to talk about, Kitty?
Oh, I think
I can take questions.
we'd love to answer any questions that,
So anybody from the committee, thank you so much, Bob and Kitty, for the update. It's interesting times. So questions from committee?
Yes, Chairwoman, Councilwoman Brown.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I was just curious, you mentioned the technology gap that some of the students experience. Can you speak to some of the percentages perhaps of how many of the students in College Now were impacted by that?
I wish I had some good stats on those.
Yeah.
I know College Now themselves, we did receive a few grants to provide computers to students, and I would say we provided anywhere from probably around 30, so not a huge number. What we did more was making sure that our students, because a lot of the colleges, for example, like Cuyahoga Community College, had lots of computers available. We made sure that the students knew that and were able to find a way to get to those things. So we did a lot more of that, trying to get them in touch with the available services they had. So on our end, I know we gave out about 30 computers, but I know we helped many students.
yeah, we were kind of like almost like the last resort in terms of giving out the computers. I know that, for example, Tri-C received, I think, a grant, and they work closely with partners, what's it called, PCs for People, and then several area foundations also provided funding to hand out computers. But as Bob said, we were just trying to be a resource. I mean, we literally called all of the students in our program who are our scholarship recipients sort of the first 3 weeks after COVID, and we're checking in on their housing, on their technology, on any other sort of insecurities they were facing, and would try to connect them with resources.
And then the other question that came to mind while you were speaking about the great work we're doing, does College Now work with Say Yes to Cleveland? Can you talk about that relationship?
Sure. Yeah. We are a partner with Say Yes. In the high school side, we do much of the college access work, and trying to help students get their Say Yes applications completed and making sure that they understand the program. College Now also, we manage the scholarship program with Say Yes to Education. So we are processing those scholarship payments and helping students work through that process. So we work very closely on the scholarship side. Part of it also is we do manage the mentoring program for many of the Say Yes students that come through the mentoring program.
And then we still have one additional facet of Say Yes that we work very closely with, and that is that there are 5 people at Tri-C. They're called Say Yes coaches, and they work with the Say Yes scholarship recipients. And again, we are really closely aligned with that. And the idea for that is to provide an extra sort of layer of support and coaching for those students on top of the College Now mentor.
And do we indicate how many students have from Cleveland have successfully matriculated through the program to graduate?
To Say Yes. Bob could probably talk a little bit about
You broke up there on my end. I don't know if it was my computer. What was the question again?
Can you speak to how many students from the Cleveland system Say Yes program have successfully matriculated through to the College Now part of it?
Oh, to actually receiving to being enrollment. Out of this year's class, I want to say we were just around 600 new enrollments for the year of new freshmen. That is a moving target because we have not received. We had quite a few students enrolling in spring semester who did not enroll fall. but our most recent numbers is we're just under 600 who had confirmed enrollments at a higher education institution. But we are still receiving. The thing about Say Yes is it's a partnership with not only the district, but also the colleges. So the colleges provide the enrollment data to us. So as we receive data is when we update our numbers. So we are still receiving the data from those schools. But right now, I think for this class of 2020 high school class, we were just under 600 enrolled.
And then there's also the class of 2019. So there are now 2 high school classes that are participating in the program.
Do we know those numbers from 2019?
From last year, we were, I want to say we were close to, for the total year, I think we were close to 800, but I'm not confident in that number off the top of my head. I do think we have seen a slight drop comparative to last year. But we are, working with those students. Some of the other things we did was our College Now's Adult Learner Program has been following up with students that we thought were going to be enrolled who did not end up enrolling, trying to make sure they get enrolled for next year. And if for the students that were for the, and this is for all College Now students, not just Say Yes. And then same thing for the freshmen last year that did not re-enroll this year. We are doing the same thing, following up with those students, trying to make sure that they get re-enrolled for next year. College Now is refusing to let this be a lost class. And I think a lot of people are worried that that is going to be for a lot of these a lost class, but we're getting down to the point where we're actually just making phone calls. Kitty mentioned that the computer access, we literally called every student. We think students are on a little bit of an electronic overload. They're not responding great to emails right now. I think they're not responding great to text messaging. I think they're getting so many of those things through all the different organizations, colleges, high schools, whatever they're working with. So we are now calling students and trying to, and this has actually allowed us to get creative, with how we do things. These Zoom sessions, we always required College Now recipients, as I mentioned in the past, to come in over the summer and meet with a College Now advisor to learn about the scholarships. Well, we couldn't do that. So we learned how to do them on, and I think it was easier for many of the students. I think it helps remove a roadblock, because coming downtown, we are in public square, paying for parking, things like that can be a detriment, especially, we do scholarships all over the county, for a student to get down here from, where I live in Broadview Heights, it's a hike. So making life a little easier. So I think we're going to continue to offer these opportunities for students. We're still going to offer them to do them in person, but if you can't, coming down to the Zoom. And I think on the advising side, there's some really interesting things that they're doing to try to make sure students are, getting the information. The challenge is we've got to get in front of them. That's the challenge.
You all may start to see, we hope, some publicity around some mobile buses. We're doing some Fafsa buses. I think we've had 1 and maybe 2. The first one was about 2 Saturdays ago at the Boys and Girls Club. And, we come in a bus and it's equipped and we can fill out your Fafsa on site. We're trying to do some things with movie theaters, where if you come to the theater and fill out your Fafsa, then you get 2 tickets to go see a movie. We're trying to be really creative and very obviously conscious of safety protocols and social distancing and all that kind of thing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? So moving, if nobody else does, I think the funding so far has been sufficient. I mean, it looks like you had a small carryover from.
Yeah, each year we any unused funds from the current year gets moved to the next year, which is how we've done it since after the first year, because not every student renews that we expect. So every year we do have a little bit of a carryover that allows us to award. We're thinking this year we have the ability to award an additional 75, I think it was, same as last year.
Yeah.
I lost my cover page. There it is. But yeah, we're hoping to be able to fund the same amount of students as the previous year.
So are you limited by the funding and how many students you are able to assist, or is this pretty much the response you'll get despite the funding level?
Well, there's never enough dollars. I mean, the there's more students, there's every year students that we say no to, that we'd love to say yes, but unfortunately there's a limited dollars. And plus the ones we do award scholarships, there are still other gaps, which College Now works really hard to try to help them fill those gaps. It is, I don't want to say it's an infinite amount of money that would be needed to take care of it all, but it would look that way. But, you know, there is, I know we raised from, I think we're at 1,500 a few years ago.
We've increased.
Yeah, the class of 2016, I think was the last year. No, 2017. So 2018, we did raise it from 1,500 a year to 1,750. You know, so it's been a couple years. Cost of college continues to rise. So of course, which we try to work out where does it make sense. At that point, it was like, does it make sense to keep picking 75 students at 1,750, or money's all the same? Does it make sense to pick, you know, 65 students at 2,000, or however the math will work out? So we always do take that into consideration. But right now, especially this year, we really want to fund as many as possible, because we think they're going to need supports.
So if council is in a position to consider increasing, I don't know, Councilwoman Simon, if that's where you were heading, or if it's even inappropriate to make such a request. But as Bob said, we would certainly be able to use it, not for College Now's benefit, obviously, but for the residents of the county.
Yeah, you know, of course. I mean, I just want to understand if the gap funding that's provided now, the 17 is, you know, doing the trick opposed to, you know, less gap funding and more students. I'm just trying to get a handle on that. And if you were to have, not in this budget cycle, but more funding, you know, how would that be allocated? And that's, I was just kind of thinking that out loud.
Yeah, it's catch me on it which day. You know, on Monday, I'd say more students. On Tuesday, I'd say more money. It just depends on probably which student I talked to the day before, the one that didn't get the scholarship or the one that did and still had a gap that they couldn't meet. So it's one of those, but I always enjoyed the conversation. If you wanted to have a further conversation on what we could do, I'd be happy to talk about it.
You know, we'll be talking anyways.
Right.
So, yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Miller.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I just had one question about the students that you said that you would like to say yes to, but you're not able to say yes to. Are these mostly students that are a little lower in academic ability than the ones that you support, or are they a little better economically off and well off and don't have as much economic need, or are there other factors? What determines that?
Yeah. So what we do, we require students to qualify for the federal Pell Grant, which means they have very high financial need. Aside from that, we do not sort of rate or score financial need. If you're qualifying for the Pell Grant, you're needy. We're not going to try to split hairs on that. So we don't take into consideration whether one had more need than the other. Academically, could be the factor that maybe they don't have as high academics as some of the other students, but College Now, we manage a lot of different types of scholarships that have different criteria. So often there are students that might not be as high academic performing, they just happen to meet the criteria for a specific scholarship, so they get selected over a student that might be a higher performing student. So what we try to do is take our pool of scholarships, find as many students, and find a way to split it up that we fund as many as possible. So sometimes academics does take into consideration, but it could also be a funder that says, you know, they want them to come from a specific high school or go to a specific college or study a specific major. So we try to sort of, you know, disperse it out as much as possible. It's a big puzzle that we try to put together and be as equitable as possible and fund as many of the applicants as we can.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Sure. Okay, any other questions from committee? So this matter is, I don't think we need to have a second reading vote. I think we can have this read for a second time and then vote on third reading. Is that correct? Can you hear me?
Madam Chair, this is Khalil. I don't believe that there is, based on the contract schedule, I don't believe that there is a rush to get this approved. We can go the full 3 readings without concern.
That's what I thought. So I'm going to make a motion then that this move out of committee to the next full council meeting for second reading. And that's my motion.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Brown, second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Great. So this will be second reading, and then we'll, let you know when it goes through and the full council. And with regard to the agenda, I just want committee colleagues to know, as well as Councilman Miller on the call, that I am exploring a third component to the education assistant program we have in place and be working on that. And we'll share that as we move along. So with that being said, if there's no questions, we can adjourn on this beautiful day.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you again. We really appreciate the partnership.
Thank you.